How would you feel about a high school class called therapy where kids are taught how to set boundaries and deal with their emotions in a healthy manner? My friend is training to be a social worker, and I'm currently working in a school. They do sessions on friendship/romantic relationships, boundaries and consent, and other modules which try to teach social and emotional healthy behaviors. It's not quite the same as what you're saying, but it does have elements of this. I think the key is you start young, and then continue to build on it in different ways. The point I would make though is that this is not for teachers to teach, it's for social workers or therapists. I had a class in HS called Life Skills that was all about emotional health. It was a good thing. Sadly, one of our classmates, he and his girlfriend were both in the LS class, passed away mid-year. He fell out of a boat and couldn't swim. Having that group really helped us work though coming to grips with it. R.I.P. Tiger. As a former high school student, I can tell you 60% of them would not take it seriously. Edit. This is a rough estimate. Depending on the class dynamic, it could be anything between 100% of the class and like 50, I'd say. The other way would be more realistic though, I feel like. Edit 2. If we use this comment section as a field experiment, I've found that for every positive opinion on this subject there are 2 to 3 negative ones. So my estimate of 60% was slightly low. Now, I know that Reddit might not be the perfect testing grounds, but you have to agree that there is a clear trend here. Realistically, if anyone knows you're in that class, you're going to get bullied. I would have firmly ignored about everything in it as a teenager at that age. I was okay in high school, but everything got set up for depression I have had since college that I haven't been able to shake. But looking back at me in high school, I don't think anyone could have gotten through. I had a series of a few sessions with a therapist my mom wanted my brother and I to do with her, and I hated them, and wouldn't have considered going to any other therapist then, even though the therapist was really worried about me. I don't think it's a bad idea, but a lot of people wouldn't take it seriously, and the only ones that would take it seriously brings us to B. It's generally not something most people, especially the ones that needed it, want to do as a group, especially with classmates. There's already a massive push going on in the US to incorporate this kind of learning into classrooms in the form of SEL, social emotional learning. Research shows that it has to be comprehensive, though, and is actually most effective for early adolescents, roughly ages 6 to 14. This is the stage when youth are both most receptive to such learning, and, statistically, will benefit the most from it. Sequestering it into a single classroom setting at the high school level would not be of much use. One of the biggest points of vulnerability for at-risk youth is the transition into high school. Additionally, while high schoolers can benefit from SEL, the effect is dampened somewhat for reasons unclear. One hypothesis is simply that teenagers are at a point in their lives where they're growing more independent, and as a result they're not as receptive to being taught life skills by adults in positions of authority. Assuming this to be the case, SEL could actually have a detrimental effect, as it interferes with other critical development in youths. Whatever the case may be, I maintain that it's important to focus more on SEL in adolescence, and that a class called therapy would not be in youth's best interests. I think for the class to be effective, it would definitely require competent, experienced teacher who listens. This is due to half of the class would treat it like a joke just as they do ed. Isn't that just called parenting? I didn't pay attention in math. Why would I in some class that doesn't even get me a qualification? Assuming the class is going to be taught by a high school teacher, and not a real therapist/professional? If so, then I think it's a god-awful idea. High school-aged me would have resented the out of being forced to do that. Crosses a personal boundary, you might say. There is no panacea for human emotion. We're all different. You mean health class? I have a class at my high school called Positive Psychology, and it is all about how to improve your mental health and offers support to depressed students. They also learn about meditation and other methods of dealing with anxiety and depression. They watch movies every Friday and go on walks every day. I hear it's pretty nice. I would think it is super stupid. I mean, it would be helpful, but nobody cares about that. We are teenagers. Way too late. You want that in elementary school when kids are still moldable. Isn't high school too late? Sounds to me like elementary school would be better for building these skills. I think it would need to be emotional health rather than therapy. And I think it would be a great idea if incorporated as a required class or a part of existing health class curriculum.